Greetings, comic friends. I once again went out of town, so you know what that means. I have to try to hit up comic stores, hobby stores, see what kind of stuff I can find, and also just kind of see what other kind of stores are out there and how they roll. This time was no different. So last time I had flown out to Myrtle Beach and my last video where I did something like this, and I had pretty good success and hitting stores all in that Myrtle Beach area. I went back out there recently, but I didn't fly. I drove, so I drove halfway across the country from the Midwest to the East Coast of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I didn't hit any places on the way there, but I did on the way back. I hit a total of 6 different places in 3 different cities with varying degrees of success. I actually didn't think I was going to be doing that good until the last place is where I think I kind of ended up doing the best. But we'll go through them just sort of in chronological and I guess geographical order from east to west. So the first city I stopped in was Florence, South Carolina. It's about an hour and a half outside of Myrtle Beach. So when I was hitting up shops the last time I went, there were a couple places that said, well, if you're looking for shops, you have to go to Florence. There's a place there called Galactic Comics. Galactic or Galaxy? Galactic Comics. They said it's big. So, and I didn't go then because it was an hour and a half drive, and I didn't want to go an hour and a half there and back when I was staying out there. But this time, like, well, on my way back, I'll drive by there because I have to drive west anyway. So I did, and I have to say that I'm glad that I didn't make a two-way hour and a half trip for it. I was pretty underwhelmed, to be honest. Um, was it big? Yes, it was very very big. um, but it wasn't for how big it was. It wasn't very full. There were a lot of toys and like statues and stuff, new and vintage. Um, there were comics. Uh, there there weren't as many back issues as I'd expect for a place like that. They were all sitting on tables in your normal long boxes. Um, and I'd say 2/3 of them were like straight like filler. Not that that's bad. I mean I found some stuff in them, but were they like they weren't bagged and boarded, or maybe they were bagged and boarded, but a lot of them weren't, and they were just like these are cover price. Going all like there's stuff from the '90s and whatnot. And they're just cover price. They didn't want to spend the time to price them out, which makes sense because that itself is an expense. And then there were um, some other back issues, and then there were some older books. There were some wall books and things. Um, their wall books were there was some stuff there that I was interested in, but they were very proud of their books. I'll say that. Stuff that was just it was just I there's no point. Um, but that isn't to say that I didn't have some successes there. In their price, cover price boxes, and they were semi alphabetized. They're alphabetized by letter. Like all, I found a couple Daredevils. All the D's were together, not necessarily in the right order or whatever, but they were together. So Daredevil number 354. Just it wasn't bagged or boarded, which is fine. This has some sort of insert. It was an overpower card insert in there, kind of. Um, and Daredevil Volume 2, number 62, which was actually backed and boarded. And probably a good enough back and board. I'll just keep it in that. Also, which was actually the happiest to see out of this, was Strike Force Moratori Electric Undertow, number 5 of 5, the one that I needed. Actually, I think they had all 5 of them. I think they had 1 or 2 of all 5 of them, but I only needed number 5. And I've been looking for this book in brick and mortar shops for a long time, and I was surprised that they actually had it. I was happy that they had it. And then looking through their not cover price stuff, I did get another Daredevil number 60. It's not in great shape, but for the price that it was sort of good enough for what I needed in the Daredevil 60. So I went ahead and picked that up. So I was able to get 3 Daredevil books for the run, and now I can finally read this, which I'm excited about because I really, really like that series. Also, I picked up some vintage action figures. I'd kind of been thinking about doing this for a while, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it here. These Marvel superheroes, these are from the early 90s, and you can find these, like, you go to toy shows and whatnot, and you find these still carded all the time, and they're not terribly expensive. You can find them for like $10 to $15 still carded. So I've always thought, and I think they're really fun. I think they're a cool piece of Marvel and toy history. These and the Secret Wars, I've thought about collecting those carded, which I might still do. And I don't want to get all of these just because there are so many of them, but I would like to get some of the earlier ones, especially the ones that. And most of the earlier ones, the punch hole is like a full hole. It's not like, I don't know how you distinguish what you call it, where it's cut, where you could like slide it on the peg, put it on a peg. Where this you have to slide it from the front. I do want at least these older ones to collect those. So they had a bunch of these, but I only picked up 4 of them. So I got the Doctor Doom, Thor. This is actually kind of from a different series. It seems similar but the same. I don't know. And I had this. I remember I had this Thor. Probably still have him somewhere. A Doctor Octopus and Hulk. They had some other fun ones. They had like a Hulk that was upside down, which was kind of cool, but I'm not really going for those variants or anything like that. And they're not in like gradable or perfect shape. They're just kind of good enough. They all kind of need like some Goo Gone to take off like various price stickers they've had on them throughout the years, but that's not too big of a deal. So I picked those up. That's all I got there. And there were some Daredevils that I looked at and wanted. They actually had behind the counter. You could see that where they had brought in a number of it was like Silver Age books, and I saw a stack of Daredevils. I was like, hey, can I look through those Daredevils? And like, no, okay. It's like, nope, we're still processing that. I was like, okay, well, okay, it is what it is. But it probably wouldn't have worked out anyway, just with the way they were pricing their non like their somewhat decent stuff was pretty crazy price. It was a cool store. And a lot of toys, in both new and vintage. On the not a whole lot of like vintage stuff. I was hoping to maybe find some older Transformers for my cassette tape collection. They only had a handful of those. They had a lot of stuff in this era, the 90s to 2000 era sort of stuff. But if you're in the area, I think it's definitely worth going in. I just wouldn't make a crazy trip for it. The second place I stopped in Florence, where was this? It was called Legends Comics. This was a cute little store. I didn't end up getting anything here. They just didn't have anything that I was looking for. When I went in, it was a small store. There was the person that presumably owned it, or at least working there, and like two or three other people just kind of hanging out, and they were just like watching movies and talking about comics and stuff. It was kind of a cool little vibe going on. Very small back issue section. Very small. Like in some of that late 90s 2000 eras toys, and a handful of decent wall books, just nothing that I needed. um, and they didn't have any Daredevils that I needed, or anything else, for that matter. Not that they weren't helpful. They were saying like, "Oh, I know we have this. I think we have something in this era. Here's our understock. Check this. Check through here." So very very nice, very helpful, very cute little store. Great stuff. The prices on things looked reasonable. I just didn't. It was just they didn't have anything that I needed. But I'm glad I stopped there. Um, so then moving west, then I stopped in Columbia, South Carolina, and I went to two stores there. Let's see. The first store I went to was Heroes and Dragons. This store was also very big. It was a lot of graphic novels and like fantasy books. Um, a lot of toys, and a lot of toys from throughout. Like they had cases of really cool vintage toys of TMNT stuff and transform, like a lot of really good stuff. They didn't have any Migos, unfortunately, or Migos over here. Um, the comic selection wasn't great. Back issues, and probably, and it was like on a sticker systems. Like if it's this color sticker, it's $2, or this color sticker is $3. So not like really good back issue stuff that I would look for when trying to like fill a run of stuff, but mostly stuff that I just don't really care too much about. As far as wall books or behind the counter books, um, there were some, but and they weren't priced super great. And a bigger problem is that it looks like they've been hanging on the wall for too long, because I'd say the majority of them had been sun stained, which is signs of a couple things. One, you probably have them priced poorly, because if they're so long they're sun stained, that means you're not moving them, and also just that's bad bad to keep them there. I mean, it happens, and it's part of the reason. Like, I mean, you can see reflections on my books here. Like, it gets in. And this is probably why I rotate these books, and I'm looking to get new blinds or whatever. Uh, but it wasn't a good scene for that. It was also very cluttered. Not that it wasn't disorganized, right? Like all like the stuff that should be together was mostly together. Mostly, there were like random spots where various price comics were just kind of at. Like there's like a spinner rack of stuff here, some other shelf way over there across the store of various things. It wasn't. I'm not sure what they were going for completely, but I wasn't able to find anything there. The second place I went to in Columbia, was great. It was called Cosmic Rays. This another very very small store, a small backstock, but solid backstock. Um, for the size that it was, I was pretty surprised, and the gentleman that helped me there was absolutely fantastic. Like he's like, "Oh, what were you looking for?" I was like, "I'm looking for Daredevils and TMNT and I need to replace this ASM book and stuff. And he was going in the back, like, oh, I think maybe I might have some here. Let me go check here. Like, he was doing work, and I really, really appreciated it. Very, very nice. The store was very, very small. It was cramped just because of how small it was and what he tried to fit in there, but it wasn't like restrictingly cramped. It was well organized for the space that they had. And the guy was super, super nice. He had all kinds of stuff like, oh, I'm planning on we're going to this show the next day or something like that. So we had these things bucked up, but I might have some stuff you're interested in here. Like, look through this and then pull this out and look through this. Very, very cool shop. Was very happy with it. And the guy was super cool. And I did find one book. He had one Daredevil 227, in really, really good shape. So I'm glad I was able to find something from him, because I did really like that store, and he was super cool. So that was it for Columbia, and then I was going to go through St. Louis, so I looked up St. Louis comic shops, and there's a whole list of them, and a number of them were kind of outside of St. Louis, and I thought, you know what? This is sort of on the last leg of my journey. I don't really want to deal with actual St. Louis traffic and parking. Was something going to be like in the downtown area or whatever. So there were a couple of stores that were just west of St. Louis and St. Charles. That, looking at pictures on Google, like, oh, these look like pretty good stores. One of them I was like, yeah, this looks exactly what I'm looking for, and the other one was like, this may not be what I'm really looking for, but I'm going to be in the area, so I'll go. So the first one that I was really hopeful for was called Comic Relief, and it was a good looking store, very, very clean, very well organized. Very heavy on graphic novels and trades. Like, the entire perimeter of it was basically graphic novels and trades. The back issue bins were like, like nice drawers, like probably like customized like office drawers. Very nice. They just didn't have anything that I needed. And for as much backstock as they had, it was pretty much, I'd say, early 90s and up. There was one set of drawers that was some silver bronze age, but not that there wasn't bad stuff in, not that there wasn't good stuff in there. There wasn't anything that I needed. I didn't look through all of it. I just didn't want to spend that much time in each of these stores if I wasn't sure I was going to get something out of it. The wall books they had were okay. They seemed like they were priced fine. They weren't. What they had for wall books might have been in some other places backstock. Given it would have been really good backstock, like some Silver Age backstock, but nothing crazy. But it was a good store. The guy was nice. Just didn't have anything for me. Then the last place I stopped, which is the place I was like, this place is not likely going to have anything for me, is actually where I ended up getting the most. So this was St. Louis Comics, Toys, and More. And it's STL, not St. Louis spelled out, but the abbreviation for St. Louis, STL. I spent a lot of time there. They have a lot of varying stuff. And it is comics and more. There's definitely quite a bit of comics. Backstock was okay. Wall books were decent. Prices were decent on them. Then a lot of just various other stuff, as you will see from the stuff that I got. They had some. It really wasn't a comic store. It was kind of like more like a pop culture store. they didn't do new comics. I didn't notice it until he mentioned it. It's like he's like, we don't do new stuff. It's just like whatever stuff people bring, that's our stock. So they had comics, they had toys, they had video games and movies and statues and RPGs and just various other collectibles. It was a really really cool place and a weird layout. It was like one main room, and then it had like side rooms. I don't know what the place was originally. Like a whole room of like Star Wars stuff, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff. And I love these kinds of stores because, as you know, I collect all kinds of weird stuff, which is not good. But so I ended up with a combination of things. And I talked with the guy for a while. Really, really nice guy. I think it was it James? I think it was James. But really nice guy, was talking about just his business model, and it was just, yeah, he was just a really really nice guy, and we got to chat for a little bit, and I'm glad that we did, and um, yeah, but ended up with I think with some cool stuff. Let's see. So they had some trading cards, complete sets of stuff. There was some random, like, here's just a pack of whatever, or here's just, so it's not a complete set. Here's just a chunk of stuff. But there were a couple of complete sets that I got. There was this Mobius card set. I do enjoy Mobius. And they also had this, the first series of the DC comic cards, which I never collected. I collected the Marvel cards, but the DC ones I never did. And this is the full set plus all, I think, 10 holograms. And the Marvel cards, people want those, and they're not worth a lot, but they're a decent amount. But this was like $20 for the entire set with the holograms, which is insane. I mean, it's a good price, but I'm just like, no one gives a crap. Just for that many cards with 10 holograms, 10 insert holograms to go for $20. So I picked those up. They had some D&D things that I needed. Well, I mean, needed is always a bad word for this, but that I didn't have. They had AD&D Second Edition Dungeon Master screen in really nice shape. This Forgotten Realm, AD&D Forgotten Realms Spellbound box set, which was in pretty good shape, was complete. Still had like the advertisement material still in there. So I was really happy about that. And this AD&D Second Edition Dark Sun Road to Uruk, which is still in the wrapper. The wrapper is coming out a little bit there, but other than that, this thing has not been opened, which was kind of cool. There was another box set. It was AD&D Forgotten Realms campaign setting. It was a little box set, and I'm like, that doesn't look familiar. I don't think I have that. And I log all of my D&D stuff in a Google Sheet, so I have access to it anywhere. So like, I'll look it up and see if I have it. And like, sure, I said AD&D Forgotten Realms campaign setting box set. Like, oh, I guess I have it. I wrote it down there, but it kind of doesn't look familiar. So I didn't get it. And then I came home and I looked at it, and evidently there are more than one AD&D Forgotten Realms campaign setting box sets, and their name isn't any different. It's just that they're just different box sets. And so I was right. I didn't have it in my spreadsheet was also right, saying that I did have it. It just wasn't the right one. I didn't know that there were multiples of them. So I had, when I was talking with the guy there, I was like, God, it says I have it, but it doesn't look familiar. He's like, well, if you don't have it, let us know. We'll put it aside and mail it out to you. So I'll probably end up getting that. We'll have that on the way at some point, because it seemed like it was priced pretty well. And then one thing that they had that man, it got me. It gets me every single time. They had complete sets of comics. I didn't find any individual comics. There was one Daredevil that I wanted, or one Daredevil there that I needed, but it wasn't in good enough shape, so I passed on it. But they had some complete sets of comics, and whenever I see there was a lot of them. I always go through them all, and I always end up with some. So picked up, and some of it I might already have. I might have, because I do this all the time as I pick up these sets of things. But they were priced so well, I was like, whatever. So this is a 4-issue Demon limited series. I love Demon. Marvel Knights, Fantastic Four. I think this is 4 issues. Looks like something like that. Might have that already too. But these are like $4 or $5, something like that. This I'd never... So Spellbound. It's a 6-issue series. I do like getting these Marvel and DC books that don't really take place in the Marvel Universe. I've had really good success with them. I recently picked up the Strike Force Morituri, full run of that. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But the stuff that comes out from Marvel and DC that is just, here's a fantasy story, here's a sci-fi story. What was the other, that 4-issue DC book that I really, really liked? I liked it so much that I got the first issue graded. And it's escaping me. So it's something like this, and this, I think this was like, $5 or something like that. We'll try it out. It'd be fun to read. Challengers of the Unknown. This is kind of like that. I mean, Challengers of the Unknown do exist in the main DC universe, but they usually don't cross paths with them. It's just a group of explorers. So this is looks probably like about 8-issue series there. Part 1 of 8 right there. Jeff Loeb, though. Oh, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Like, yeah, come on. This I was really happy with. I'd never read this. So this is all 15 issues of Mage, Hero Discovered, which I've never read Mage before. It's, it's Comico, and they were all like in really good shape. And for what it was priced, I thought it was a really good deal. So I picked that up. I'm excited to read that. And this was not a thing that I knew actually existed, but a full run of Marvel's RoboCop. A total of 23 issues. Now, I would not have been surprised that there was like RoboCop based on the movie, 3-4 issue limited series, but this went on for 23 issues. I had no idea. And again, looked through them, and like they are in amazing shape for, especially this, you would expect to get them beat up, but it seemed like a fun buy and a fun read. Like, who doesn't love RoboCop? Let's see, and that's it. So yeah, it was crazy. That store that I was like, I'll just go there because I'm gonna be in the area. Probably not gonna find anything. Is where I had the most success. And yeah, the guy I think is one of the owners. I think he said there's 2 people that own it, and then other person that works there and helps out. So yeah, he was super cool, and was just chatting about different kinds of stuff he gets in and whatnot. But yeah, that's it. Another successful trip. And again, I was worried, when I started my journey, or towards the beginning of the journey, I only had a handful of books and a couple figures, but in the end, turned out okay. So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Let me know your thoughts on the pickups here, and yeah, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.